Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. This is Phantom Frequency, where we get into the entire multiverse of pop culture. We break down all types of different topics: movies, TV shows, anime, comic books, movies, you name it, we talk about it. Hit all the buttons below the video. If you're just joining us for the first time, join our awesome, positive, geeky community, man, where we just like to nerd out, discuss what we like, what we didn't like, and everything in between. Just get hyped up for everything that we love the most, which is everything in the world of pop culture itself. If that sounds like the place you want to be, if that sounds like the community you want to be a part of, then you found the right place. But with all that out of the way, it's time to get into the main topic of the show, y'all. And I'm talking about The Mandalorian Season 3, Episode 3. Coming in hot. Mandalorian, man. This was an interesting episode, to say the least. I definitely got to say that. Because the one thing I will say, I enjoyed the episode, but I do have some mixed feelings about it, if I'm being real with y'all, man. Do have some mixed things about it. We'll get into it. But overall, I love the main storyline, obviously, with Bo-Katan and our boy Din Djarin himself, and the whole way that it picks up exactly where it ended off in episode 2 after Din got dragged down by the Mythosaur itself, and all the way they picked it up with that, and the way that Bo-Katan doesn't tell him what actually happened, just kind of questioning him, giving him open-ended questions to kind of see what he perceives to have happened. So I do find that interesting. She's keeping that monster thing under wraps. Very, very interesting. Really love that. All the interactions between her and between Bo-Katan herself and Din Djarin, a.k.a. Pedro Pascal, and Katie Sackhoff, respectively. They're both doing such a phenomenal job together. Obviously, with Pedro Pascal doing VO right there. And I love the way that they're able to bounce off each other and work so well together in scenes. And it's really awesome stuff, man. And I got to say, even the side plot line with the scientists, the cloning scientists that we were first introduced to towards the beginning of season 1, either episode 1 or episode 2, as we got into all the big stuff going on with Grogu and everything like that. And we knew from Jump Street, even when Din went back to go get the kid in episodes 3 or 4, I'm forgetting now, I think it's episode 3. Might be episode 4. Whatever. But when that all goes down in season 1, we saw that he thought that the doctor himself, I'm forgetting the name now, but he was actually thinking that Din Djarin came to hurt the child, but actually he was there to save the child. So I like the way that he was like, okay, don't harm the child, he can kill me, but don't harm him or whatever. And I actually really, really dug that aspect about the character, and lets you know there's some shades to this guy, and that he is a good person, I guess, deep down, right? Just working for the wrong side of things, if you will. So really love that, and the way that they were able to flesh out his character in this episode, I thought was really well done. Might have spent a little bit too much time on that plot line, and maybe should have, bounced back and forth between what the main A plot is with the Mandalorians themselves and this kind of B plot, New Republic, cloning, Moff Gideon shit going on, But I really, really dug the Andor vibes that it was bringing overall to the episode as well. So dug it for the most part. Really enjoyed the episode. Just have a few complaints with it. But as we recap all the big stuff that happened in this episode, which isn't a ton of stuff, but there is some big stuff definitely to get to as we get into the recap portion here of the episode. And as I said earlier, it starts off with Bo-Katan and Din down there in the wells of Mandalore or whatever, after he's just bathed in the living waters. And, Din Djarin's over there back on land trying to get it, catch his breath and everything like that after he almost drowned from getting dragged and nearly drowned by the Mythosaur itself. And Bo-Katan and Grogu's over there checking on him and like, oh shit, Dad, you good? And then freaking Bo-Katan's over there like, all right, so looks like you bathed in the water. It's time for us to go. And she's like, do you remember anything that happened though? And he's like, yeah, I think the water was just too deep and I ended up almost drowning. And she's like, oh, okay. You don't remember what pulled you down? Was it a living thing? Like what? She's like, nothing. So kind of keeping it under wraps that there was a mythosaur or a creature to begin with that even dragged him down. So I find that very interesting that she's keeping all that stuff very close to the chest, as they say, and not revealing what happened. I have a theory, maybe, but it's kind of out there, so I'm not really sure. But I do have one little tiny theory that's way out there, but I definitely think that might come into play potentially this season or down the line in the series as this thing progresses. But once they pick up from there, they get to their ships and everything, and Bo-Katan's going to, and as they get back to their ships and whatnot, Bo-Katan is about to take off, but then bam, what do you know? Imperial dudes are on their tail. So Din Djarin, he's got to get over there on the shooters, on the guns, if you will, and try to take down some of these Imperial TIE fighter type ships as they're chasing down him and Bo-Katan Kryze in her ship. And then she starts just going into straight pilot mode, like a straight up G, man, trying to get them out of there, trying everything that she can to try to get him free of the situation and try to escape from those fools. But she's having a hard time shaking him. Din's trying to kill as many of them as he can, take him out, get him out of the way. But he doesn't, or, take him out, I guess is a better way of putting it. But as we see, it's a little bit tough. But he does end up dispatching quite a few of them. And with Bo-Katan super slick flying, she ends up slowing down, turning around, and pulling a Yui real quick and blasting the last fool until he's gone. But before she's able to dispatch of all these guys, she does notice in the background, or right after she dispatches these guys, sorry for misspeaking there, then she notices off in the distance there's a big explosion close to where her pad is at. And guess what, y'all? Yep, they're bombing the fuck out of it. They just blew up her home, the temple or palace, what have you, that her and her family are from. They just blew that shit up, essentially, or the new spot that she's staying at, whatever it is. They blew that shit up. So now she doesn't have a home. And we definitely want to make sure to keep track of the fact that she hasn't taken her helmet off either yet. So that's a very key detail that I wasn't picking up on until much later. And as the episode progresses from there, they end up narrowly escaping after Din's finally able to get to his N1. And then he's able to help out, blast the rest of these fools out of there, kill off the rest of them for good. But then, that's what they thought. But now that he's in the N1, they got to make a quick escape because there's a shit ton of them coming now. And Din's like, oh fuck, we can't fight all these guys. We got to get the hell out of here. I get you're pissed about your pad getting blown up. I understand. But Mandalorian got blown the fuck up anyways. We've all lost our homes. Shit, I don't even got a family anymore either. I don't want to hear no bitching out of you. Let's get the hell out of here. I got coordinates for a place we can hyperjump to. She's like, what place? Don't trip. I got you. And that's pretty much where we end off there with the main plot. And then we jump over to this cloning scientist who's in the middle of giving his TED Talk, essentially, to a council of people in the New Republic over there on Coruscant. So it's really cool getting a chance to see Coruscant in the New Republic era, fully thriving 5 years after Return of the Jedi. Or actually, it's been a few years since then, so it's actually getting closer to like between 8-10 years since Return of the Jedi now. So it's really great to see how the New Republic's really thriving and moving and how that new system's kind of taking its thing. They got the whole thing called the Amnesty Program that the scientist is also a part of. And as he's pitching his entire idea for the whole reason why he got into cloning in the first place and why that was the study he based his life on and whatnot. And that's how it all went down right there. And from that point, he gets out of the meeting. Everyone's congratulating him and whatnot. Oh, yeah, I'm so glad you're on our side, bro, and all this other shit. Pumping him up, you know what I'm saying? Just, making small talk, whatever. And then as he leaves, once he's getting back closer to his pad, he runs into a group of other people that are a part of the Amnesty program as well. And one of those people is Katie O'Brien's character, who was kind of a lackey to Moff Gideon, as some of y'all might remember from season 2. Don't have a picture of her right here I could pull up at this very moment. But either way, Katie O'Brien, Google it, good actress, came in here to reprise her role as someone that's supposedly a part of the Amnesty program. But I knew from Jump Street that she was undercover in the bad way, trying to get underneath the doctor's skin or take him out or do something, which was a little bit more of the former than the latter, obviously. But she ended up planting this idea inside of his head as time went on and as they kind of interacted after that point where they had drinks together and whatnot with the other guys and all this stuff. And then later on, she starts talking to him about how his studies were very important. She was very impressed with his knowledge and all this other shit, saying that, if the New Republic is not a bad thing, then they should let you continue your research, at least recreationally, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not harming anybody. You're not using it to try to make something for the Empire or something like that. You're just doing it just to be able to help save lives and provide that science for other people in the medical field and whatnot and all across the galaxy to be able to use from here all the way out to the outer rim, you know what I mean? So that was the whole purpose of his study and why he dedicated his life to it in the first place. So as that point goes on, she kind of plants that idea in his head that he should be able to do it, but it appears that they're just as stifling as well because they will not allow him to do it. and even the Empire remnants and those people in the past would let him do that. But that was all for sinister purposes, more in the fact of, I think, you know, Palpatine potentially. Who the hell knows where this all could go? But it's definitely hella interesting. That's for damn sure. But as things progress there, he ends up, going to his day job and all that stuff, and he runs into this one guy that'd be passing out stuff throughout the day, and he's like, "Hey, dude, I think I saw your meeting the other day. I saw your TED Talk, bro." And he's like, "Not really, of course," but he's like, "Oh yeah, man, I saw your speech the other day, and it's so good that you're finally, making it right and going straight and whatnot, and all this other shit." And let's see here. And then he's all, "Oh yeah, I'm surprised that you're working somewhere like this with all the experience you have and all the knowledge and whatnot." And he's all, "Yeah, well, got to start somewhere, and I'm just happy to do what they asking me right now, man. So if this is what I got to do, this is what I'll do." And the guy's like, "All right, for sure. I respect it, doctor. I respect it." And he goes on with his day or whatever. And as time goes on, this little seed of an idea that Katie O'Brien's character planted of him being able to clone recreationally, of him being able to continue his research, was very telling, and it was just almost like she just perfectly planted it in his head, like she almost did some craft shit or it's like some Jedi mind trick shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's kind of crazy when you think about it. And she ended up planting that idea almost in there from the jump street, and yeah, so now he just can't get it out of his head. And as he progresses through his days, he starts to get more frustrated because he can't look into his research at all. No matter who he talks to and what he does, no one's willing to let him do it. So it becomes very, very frustrating for him, obviously. And this is where we start to run into some of the issues with the episode as I had overall. I do feel the pacing is a bit bogged down in this episode with the fact that they move over to this completely different tone and vibe of a storyline from what's going on in the main storyline with the Mandalorian, which is a little more, action, adventurous, upbeat, morning cereal, whatever the fuck, where this other plot line with this other plot line with the doctor. That one was a good one, but I feel like they just dragged it on for too long and should have cut back and forth between what Din Djarin and Bo-Katan were doing and everything like that in order to kind of just make it flow a little bit better, I think, just story-wise and whatnot. But overall, that was just one of my few minor complaints with the episode overall. But as it continues on, they kind of dive into the frustration that's growing and starting to fester inside of him until the point where he almost tells the droid that interviews him at the end of every day or week or whatever about how he's feeling about the new empire, how he feels about his situation, does he feel any anger or regret, anything like that. And I always try to get that out of the way right away when I get to the stuff, man. So lost my train of thought. It's been a long day. I am hella tired right now. Where were we at here? We were at the part where the doctor becomes frustrated. He's lying to the robot, and then he meets up with Katie O'Brien's character after she makes the idea of getting him a mobile lab, of going to get this mobile lab so that way he can continue his research and do what he wants to do in his own time without affecting or harming others, of course, in his own mind. And then she ends up telling him to meet up with her the next night, wear a disguise or whatever, dress down, try to act, just be low key. So, you know what I'm saying? And then we'll go over here to these Empire remnants and steal this shit. But essentially, as I figured the whole time, they get there, they start pulling the heist, getting the shit that they need, getting the equipment and all that shit, and they're about to take off and get away with everything. But then, all of a sudden, they get caught by New Republic soldiers or cops, whatever you want to say. And then from there, he gets arrested, but she doesn't. And I knew it from that moment she wanted to go do this shit in the first place. And the moment she planted that idea inside his head, that she was setting him up for failure, man. She was setting him up as the fall guy, so that way she can get deeper into the system and fuck it up and corrupt it from within and get all the information and intel over to Moff Gideon, get him out of prison if he's not already, and get the upper hand for him and Thrawn and all this other shit. The whole freaking big enchilada, the whole big end game that everything is building to in this Favreau Filoni shared universe. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to be hella interesting to see where things go from there and to see what happens to him, because as we see with Katie O'Brien's character, they have this mind thing that's supposed to like relax him so that way they can get the truth out of him and whatnot and help him to relax from the traumatic situation or whatever. But she cranks that shit up all the way to 13 like she's Marty McFly at the beginning of Back to the Future with the freaking amp, and bada bing bada boom, melts homie's mind like it's a Pink Floyd music video. Homie is done for the count. He's essentially a vegetable now. So he's out of commission, as I suspected was going to happen. And another complaint I kind of have, but more of a minor one, more of a minor gripe, more of a nitpick, really. But the way that the soldier, after she talks to him and says, "Oh man, I'm so sad that he relapsed, but I'm his friend, so I'm gonna be here for him. I still believe in him." And just to get him comfortable enough to leave her alone with a prisoner in the middle of a thing where she cranks it up, and I'm like, no one's going to leave someone like that alone in a situation like this, no matter who they are, how much they trust them, and what the circumstances are. There's no way officially somebody's going to do that in this type of thing. So not a huge deal, but just something I kind of noticed that did bother me a little bit. Just being real, man. Just pointing that out, you know what I'm saying? And then we jump back over to Mando, Din Djarin, and Bo-Katan, man. They just get back to the commune where his clan has finally found a place to settle after all the shit went south in Navarro. And now Vizsla and the other fools come out and they're like, "Hey, motherfucker, we told you ain't welcome here, dog. You ain't no Mandalorian no mo." And he's like, "Hey, homie, check this out. I went to the freaking living waters, dog. Trust me." And he's like, "Nah, you full of shit, bro." No, I was playing. But he's like, "Nah, you're lying." And he's like, "Nah, bro, I went for real." And Bo-Katan's like, "I got you, dog. Like, I was with him. I'm witness, man. I did it too." And they're like, yeah, how do we know you're not lying? And then he's like, "I got proof, bro, right here." And they're like, "All right, man. You go talk to the lady, go talk to boss lady and see what she's got to say." You know what I'm saying? And then he goes and talks to the armorer, of course, with Bo-Katan like, "Hey, look, I bathed in the living waters. Trust me. Trust me. I did it. She did it too. Check this shit out. I got proof." Everyone's like, "All right, bro." She takes the shit, pours it in this little, like, bowl thing or something, and all the water like glows and looks like it's almost like come to life. So I like how the living waters thing is almost like a literal thing, and you can see kind of where they get the reference and the name for it from. And when she's like, "Oh shit, all right, it is the living waters. He actually went there. You're in, dog. What about you, Bo-Katan? What's up with you?" And she's like, "What? What's up?" And they're like, Did you bathe in the waters too?" She's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Have you taken your helmet off since then?" She's like, "Oh shit, I haven't." Because she didn't take it off because she was just kind of being low key and just kind of in the zone with the action and everything and keeping her helmet on just to stay safe in the actual cave. And once they got out of the cave, back out of the mines of Mandalore and all that shit back onto the surface, she just put her helmet on right away because they ended up getting chased out of there and had to try to make a daring escape. And then once they got out of there and they were going to hypership away or hyper jump away, he told her to keep their, after they hyper jumped away from that planet of Mandalore over to this, from Mandalore to this other planet, which I'm not sure if they've name dropped the name for where the Mandalorians went to. I don't think they have, which is very interesting creative choice that I don't mind at all. It's kind of nice having them be in mystery locations so you don't necessarily get to have a direct comparison to anywhere else because you're just somewhere. But anyway, so at that point, she never took her helmet off, man, because after that, they went on that chase. Hyper jumped over there. He said, "Don't take your helmet off so you don't piss these fools off so I can get into the clan a little easier," you know what I'm saying? Let's keep things on good terms. And at that point, she's accepted by Creed into their clan and can leave anytime she wants, according to the boss lady herself, the armorer. So hella interesting development that I did not see coming. I didn't even think of Bo-Katan Kryze becoming a member of their clan or the Night Watch, whatever you want to say, the Zealots, whatever. I didn't even think of her becoming a member of that group. So that is already a swerve in a direction I wasn't even expecting and really throws a wrench into the way and the predictability of where this storyline is going to go. And now there's even more directions and more interesting elements and places they can go. They can take us on some surprising twists and turns. So I'm definitely even more excited to see the future of that storyline and what's going to come of this show in general. And as I mentioned earlier, the cloning doctor side plot is definitely important to establish the cloning subplot they've set up since the last episode, which I think ties into Snoke and everything that was going on in the sequel trilogy. They did not explain very fully. I believe this is filling in all that backstory, and this is another piece of that puzzle, One Piece style. You know what I mean? They just milking it out, Aishiro Oda style, baby. Make sure to lead into that thing, and I think that's all a part of building up the background and one of the main plots that's going to come to a head down the line in this overall series. So really damn good episode, but I think some of the pacing and editing could have been a little bit stronger, could have been trimmed down a little bit, could have been a little more brisk and a little more of a even just kind of vibe throughout the whole thing, and just not as much of a tonal shift with the storylines. I think would have just smoothed everything out and made this just as good as the last episode. But this episode is stronger than the very first premiere episode, I would say. Right now it's like episodes 2, 3, and 1 in my personal ranking out of the 3 so far. But let me know what you thought about this episode down below the video. I want to hear about it. And if you're listening on the podcast feed, hit us up on social medias. All that information's in the bio. Hit us up over there and let us know what you thought about this latest episode and all that good jazz. I'll probably give this episode a solid 7.5. Damn good episode of The Mandalorian once again. We're going to be doing these reviews every single week, anytime, either Monday or Wednesday. This one's going to be coming out a little bit later, but generally between either the Monday or Wednesday every single week, you're going to be getting the Mandalorian, recaps and everything. Either the Wednesday it drops or the following Monday, the latest. That's kind of the way it's going to rock for the entire remainder of this season 3. So make sure you stay subscribed and hit the subscribes and all that. So that way you don't have to miss any of these dope-ass recaps we do every single week for these weekly shows. We do the full season reviews for the binge shows and all that shit that they just drop all at once. So make sure you're sticking around for all that good stuff. But until we see you again, make sure you stay tuned, don't sleep, and this is the way.